In Super Smash Bros. Melee, series creator Masahiro Sakurai collaborated with competitive player Juan Hungrybox Biedma, Jason Music King Zimmerman, and his wife's arthritis to create this house fire of a game. Now, let me be honest, Super Smash Bros. Melee is my least favorite game in the series by far on every level. While I understand there are a lot of people that enjoy this game, I am not one of them. I personally don't like how I have to learn to play the game backwards just to play it at a basic level, but I'm going to be as unbiased as I possibly can be. First, let me start off with the things that are usually seen as positives towards this game. Super Smash Bros. Melee has by far the strongest fighting game community in the Smash series and probably the FGC as a whole. Super Smash Bros. Melee is an interesting game mechanically. It introduced a lot of things to the game that it had just created 2 years prior. Melee is by far one of the most technical fighting games ever. This is due to the fact that in Super Smash Bros. Melee, there is little to no buffering. In short, what buffering does is make it so that you don't have to be frame perfect in order to do one action right after another. Super Smash Bros. Melee does not have that, making it so that you have to do certain actions frame perfectly. That means for some actions, you can have around 1 to 3 frames to complete an action. To put it in layman's terms, this means that for some actions, you have around 16 to 50 milliseconds to complete an action. The lack of a buffering system allows for a variety of ways for you to move and interact within the game. In terms of positives for Melee, that's literally the only one that I can think of. If you look at Melee from just about any other point of view than as a highly competitive game with a very high skill cap, this game has a lot of faults, but I'm only going to talk about its faults in terms of how it affects the competitive nature of this game. Melee is very glitchy. There have been quite a few times where glitches have happened in competitive settings and it has caused some turmoil. Half of the reason why it's such a technically demanding game is because it was only developed in 13 months and was very rushed. Some of the glitches are so bad that they can be consistently done. A couple of examples that I can give off of the top of my head are wave dashing and the extender glitch. Some will argue those are exploits, but I see exploits as also being glitches, but that's a debate for another time. Another large negative against the game is that most of the cast is unplayable within a competitive environment. This is because most of the characters in the game are poorly executed and or are straight up bad characters. And this is on top of the fact that the most dominant characters in the game are extremely dominant. Another thing that I feel severely hurts it, mainly as a competitive game, is the way that the rooms are gonna smell when you step into them to go play against other good players. Like, yo, Melee players really be doing a frame perfect double air dodge past the soap and water in and out the shower. Like, yo, Melee players really be shining the water and soap off of their back in and out the shower. Melee players really Zelda up B in and out the shower, past the water and the soap. Finally, I did it.
Oh boy, is it an upgrade. Just to briefly talk about classic mode, it's essentially the same as the last game, with 3 mini games spliced in between every 2 matches this time, and the matches are usually randomized, so you can either get a giant battle, team battles, and whatnot. And the Polygon Army, who are now the Wireframe Army, has been separated into its own separate mode. Regular targets is the same as the last game, is still a mystery to what you do, and each level is specific to whichever character you choose. For the platforms is sadly gone, however, in its place is the Trophy Nabber, which you have to hit the trophy and get it into this net. And then Race to the Finish is essentially the same, only there are multiple doors, which means set finish could be right as you start. The second to last fight is the Metal Battle, and just like the rest of the mode, the metal character you fight is actually randomized. I don't know if it has anything to do with those doors, but anyway, afterwards you fight Master Hand again, but if you play it on normal and not die once, you get to fight his brother, Crazy Hand. And then there's Adventure Mode. Basically, it takes the place aboard the platforms because, oh my god, Adventure Mode. So essentially, you're running through a bunch of Nintendo worlds and, well, going on an adventure, running through the Mushroom Kingdom, exploring the dungeons of Zelda, climbing a mountain with better controls than actual ice climbers, and preventing yourself from getting run over by a bunch of F-Zero racers. And then once you get to Final Destination, you face off against Bowser, and beating him, well, yeah, that's about it. Unless you didn't die on normal or hard mode, allowing you to fight the demon Giga Bowser. Essentially, Sakurai's message to Miyamoto to make Bowser an actual threat in the Mario games again, and I can honestly see why it would be a good thing. And as for trophies, as I mentioned earlier, they're basically just the main collectible of this game, and you can acquire them by completing different modes, finding them randomly in the stages or in the home run contest, and or spending all your money on this lottery thing. They're all essentially just bragging rights telling you that you did 100% the game, but I'm not gonna lie, almost all of these look amazing in their own right, and they're a very nice addition to the game. Allows you to see all of Nintendo's history at the time, and characters from future Nintendo releases because, well, why the hell not? The home run contest, abuse a bag and then bat it to death, see where it lands, multi-man melee where those wire guys come in, and all-star mode. After getting all the characters in the game, you have to fight them all, and then you get a trophy from that. Isn't it great? Not to mention the multiple modes in the multiplayer itself. Just to make a long story short, Melee has a bunch of extra bonus features, and they are all glorious. Just sadly, they're not as good as Brawl.